Welcome to So You're Kinda a Big Deal, a weekly podcast deep diving into the lives of emerging and established tattoo artists. Listen in as we dig into origin stories, industry hot topics, and what it takes to survive in the world of tattooing. This is Tattoo Shop Talk. It's funny, it's crass, inspiring, and sometimes we get it right. Join your hosts Shawn, Hedley, and Dave Allen every week as we host a new guest. The True North Strong Tattoo Book. This is a massive tattoo encyclopedia of Canadian tattooers. 350 pages. It's an 11 by 17 coffee table format. Shawn and Dan worked tirelessly to get this thing out, and sadly it never made it to print, so it's available for free download at theholdfastsocialclub.com and championtattoo.ca. The Holdfast Social Club presents So You're Kinda a Big Deal with your hosts, Shawn Hedley and Dave Allen. Okay. This is going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, good.
I'm Shawn.
Nice to meet
I'm
you.
Nice
Dave.
Hi, I met you at the show, I believe.
You can tell us apart. I know it's hard for people to tell white people apart sometimes, especially when we get old and white.
I'll remember one has glasses and one.
Yeah. Just remember, I'm the skinnier one.
Oh, I'm the handsome one.
Yeah. So you're in Toronto. How was the convention?
Oh, it was really good. I was wondering, should I put on the wired earphones or is my voice okay right now?
No, your voice is clear. Yeah.
Yeah. You can hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you guys perfectly.
Okay.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah. How's the convention?
I just finished Nick's and it was really good. I am done with conventions for a bit now because I had the show and then the Toronto show like almost back to back, and I slept for like 12 hours last night, and it was tired.
Yeah, they're tired. Were you you tattooing the whole time?
I tattooed on Saturday and Sunday, but I left Friday open. I was actually working on a bit of a project with my colleague Marcus. So we actually do this side project called Spitting Ink, where we've been also interviewing tattoo artists and just doing some fun like
Cool.
TikToks and reels and stuff like that. So yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, sweet. Spitting Ink. Where can we find that?
We're on Instagram and TikTok. We hope to do some YouTube as well later. So yeah.
Cool.
Right, we'll find you on Instagram. Probably won't find you on TikTok.
Nope.
No.
Awesome. Well, we'll just get started here. So you're kind of a big deal. Why don't you tell us who you are?
I don't see myself as a big deal, but My name is Shiyu, and currently I work at Monkey King Tattoo in East Van. So I work with, as many of you guys know, Jeff Tam, who's kind of cornerstone of starting kind of the Asian style in Vancouver. So I'm very honored
Hmm.
Yeah.
to be part of their team. Yeah.
Cool. Where are you from? Are you from Vancouver originally? Or are you from Toronto or?
So I was born and raised in Richmond, which is
Okay.
a suburb of Vancouver, and then now I actually live in Vancouver. But yeah, born and raised in the greater Vancouver area.
Oh, that's rad. It's got such a rich tattoo history. How did you first, what was your first tattoo experience? Like your first, you realized that it's something you wanted to not just do, but you wanted to have tattoos.
So I think well, I think I always liked art ever since I was young, and I got into it because of watching like anime and like Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, Sailor Moon, and so I always drew when I was young. And then around the time in high school, I met a friend who was maybe like 4 or 5 years older than me. So he was getting tattooed by Jeff, and he half sleeves with the whole chest, and he was getting it done. And he was like, "Hey, do you want to come join me for one of my sessions?" And I must have been like 17 or something, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm totally down. I've never seen this before." And I was like so shocked to see like such big tattoos. That was like the biggest tattoo I've ever seen in my life, just like.
Cool.
And I went in and went to a session, and at the time I was so shy. I just sat there and was completely quiet watching. And I think that was my first exposure to being in a tattoo shop and just watching it happen. And I didn't think that Jeff would remember this interaction from, but he actually did. And he, I guess, knew about my tattoo journey because that particular friend kept getting tattooed by Jeff and would update him on how I was
Cool.
saying and everything. So kind of came like full circle.
Cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, where did you start? How
Um,
did you start?
I started my apprenticeship at a studio a few blocks down. I'm no longer associated with them, unfortunately, because I did quit the apprenticeship on my own volition.
Yeah.
But that was about 5.5 years ago that I started, and it was actually a Japanese mentor because I was specifically interested in the Asian and Japanese style art. Um,
Okay.
and I found him because I had been following a lot of tattoo Instagram, and I noticed that he in particular had an apprentice, and I was like, okay, so it seems like that person is open to having apprentices, whereas I knew that Jeff was very much very reluctant to take people on from what I heard from my friend. So I didn't want to approach Jeff having known that. So I went to this other mentor, and he luckily took me on. And, I apprenticed there for about 3.5 years. And at some point, I felt like it was never ending. Like apprenticeship would ever end. So I think I had to unfortunately cut ties. And well, I did not that I wanted to cut ties, but I knew that me quitting would inevitably mean cutting ties with him. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be a hard thing to leave an apprenticeship. You get you invest so much emotionally in an apprenticeship, and your mentors. I mean, I can't get rid of my mentor. We're we're attached forever. Sean and I are stuck together for eternity. So yeah, I think that's a hard thing, and I think most apprentices leave their apprenticeships. Like, I think that isn't that the thing that everyone leaves either too early or never leave.
Yeah.
You know, I think those are the two options. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So then you went from there, and that's how you ended up with Jeff?
yeah, so I guess when I was leaving the apprenticeship, I was very scared about my future, and I actually thought that if I quit, I wouldn't ever be able to tattoo anymore just because the impression that I had was that that mentor may bar me from tattooing. Because in Japan, apparently, a very traditional thing that happens is if you get excommunicated from a tattoo family, it's
Yeah.
uh, it's almost like leaving a gang of sorts, and they kind of sent a message to everyone else like, do not take this person on. So I was very worried about that. But I had reached out to Jeff, who was kind of somebody that I had looked up to for a very long time, and I kind of told him a little bit about what had happened, and he reassured me that it's not like that in where we are, and like he was like, just come here and don't worry about it. I was worried that I would cause like drama, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, but he was like, it's cool, like it's fine. And then so I appreciate him so much for like, I guess, taking me into his team and just having me there and reassuring.
Yeah, Jeff's such a down to earth guy.
Hmm.
He's super understanding, always up and happy and wanting to make sure everyone's happy around him. That's a great spot to be. You got a real killer crew there too. What's it like working in that crew there?
It's awesome. Like I was so nervous, I guess, joining them for the first time. And I remember Jeff was like, yeah, let's do like a little dinner with everyone to get you introduced to everyone. And I was so nervous sitting in my okay, I'm going to this dinner now, and I followed these people on Instagram for so many years, and I get to like finally kind of meet them. And yeah, no, it was great. Like I remember being so nervous, and now like they're just like my brothers. Like I see them as like almost like having like multiple tattoo dads, and we joke with each other, and like it's just a lot more fun that way because I feel like it's a lot more of like a there's no like weird hierarchy, I guess. Whereas like I guess when I was in my apprenticeship, it was very much like a top down military style hierarchy, and there's none of that at this shop. So I just appreciate that a lot more.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Do you find that your growth accelerated once you kind of didn't have that pressure of all that top down weight?
I think that there's like pros and cons to both. I definitely do think I grew like a lot in my apprenticeship, and then at some point I think it kind of got to a point where it plateaued, because I wasn't allowed to do a lot of things, and I had to like follow a very strict um, version of what my mentor thought was the right way to go. And then once I left that, there was a lot of fear, like, oh no, now I'm completely like on my own, and what do I do? And
Yeah.
so too much freedom, and then I'm like, I have no idea if I'm doing the right or wrong thing anymore, and I just have to make that judgment myself at this point, or just kind of like ask my colleagues at my new shop and see what they think. And then I realized that a lot of tattoo artists are just YOLOing it through life.
A lot? A lot? All of them.
Yeah. And then it made me realize, like, oh, like my mentor was not like the godlike figure that I imagined that knew right from wrong, and everyone is just trying to figure it out along the way.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah,
yeah,
I can imagine his apprenticeship, which I'm assuming was in Japan, would have been a very strict thing, and they would have really adhered to a lot of rules, and that structure probably helps some people in the long run. But I think the Western style is just like, just try stuff, just do it, and if you
Yeah.
fail or succeed, it's on your own merit. And
yeah,
Definitely early on, I try and have somebody I might be teaching kind of stick to certain things because I'm comfortable with those things and I know that I can help them troubleshoot if they have problems. If they start wilding out and going on their own, I'm like, oh, I guess you're on your own because I don't know what the fuck you're
yeah, it's interesting. I was just looking at your Instagram before we got on here, and what you just talked about trying new things and everything. And one thing that struck me is you did a piece that had Japanese influence or Asian influence and geometric influence.
yeah.
And it's rare that you ever see those two combined, if ever, done well anyway. Usually somebody has a strong geometric background and then they try to do something Asian, but yours was a really nice balance.
Oh, thank
So I think that's where's that coming from? Like, because your other stuff is very, I don't want to use the word traditional, but it's definitely uh, has a solid foundation in Japanese and Asian tattooing.
Yeah, I guess I just really appreciated all kinds of styles. So I've followed a lot of different artists with different styles, and when I was asked to do that particular piece that I think you might be mentioning, um, I was looking at this other artist, or two artists. There's the Gakin and Nisako from originally from,
Yeah.
which has a lot of Japanese influence, but also geometric to kind of like get inspiration from. So I did show my client, like, is this kind of what you're thinking? Because he did ask me for some geometric patterns, which is normally not what I do. And then he was like, kind of, but I like how you do this more. So I just kind of like took a little bit of that and this and then made it my own. Yeah, that's kind of my approach to most of those custom pieces.
Does your process change when you try to do something like that? Like you come from a background that seems like it was pretty rigid, and now you're in a much more open environment. How is that process different for you?
I think that even though I came from that very rigid, um, I guess, way of, I did get a little bit more freedom compared to other apprentices under the same mentor. Before I joined, I had I guess, a background of drawing like anime, which is very different from traditional Japanese, even though it's still Japanese art in a sense. So he actually let me do some anime style tattoos within my apprenticeship, and he let me have full reign whenever it was a Japanese anime tattoo, because he was like, I don't know anything about anime. You can do whatever you want. So luckily, I got to experiment a little bit more compared to my colleague, or I guess colleague apprentices. So I guess the approach with that is just like I utilize a lot of Japanese background, and then I just put geometric, or I put anime characters instead of traditional.
Yeah, yeah. Your backgrounds are very strong. I mean, people talk about the importance of background in Japanese tattooing all the time, and I think Westerners fail at it often. But your stuff is it's very uniform and pleasant to look at. Like it doesn't hurt the eye in any way. It's not jagged. It's not. What's your philosophy behind that? Like, how do you approach the body with background?
Thank
I
you.
think a lot of us would love to know what's that.
I think I yeah, I guess I just kind of look at a lot of other people, the way they do their background, and I save a lot of pictures where I'm like, I like this. And when I look at it in the whole grand scheme of things, almost like a mood board, I realize, oh, there's a commonality between the types of backgrounds that I like. I don't like it when it's too thin, when it's too thick, or too dark. So then I kind of realized, oh, so the pattern is that I like it where it's has more of a gradient and it's kind of a medium sized bar and bigger clouds or something like that. That's how I found my style and background. And I realized that certain people's backgrounds, just by looking at their background, you can tell which artist it's from. Um,
Yeah,
really like I would like to say like Horitoshi from Japan. He has those really, really thin, really black wind bars, and it's like so distinct to his style. And
yeah,
it in that aspect where it's so specific. You could totally see when it's a Horitoshi family. Any artist within that family does it like that, and that's super cool. But for me, I prefer, not too dark and not too thin. But I guess I can take on it.
do you draw it first? Do you draw the subject matter first and then work out your backgrounds, or do you have formulas for background on certain parts of the body?
I used to have it as part of the stencil, and that's how my mentor used to do it. But after I left, I realized that I didn't like it that way, because sometimes when you stencil it on, it doesn't like connect where it wraps around the arm, or it just kind of gets crooked. So now I stencil the subjects on, and then I do the background completely freehand. The rule with it, I don't know if there's really any set in stone rule. Um, I was told that it comes in threes, like three wind bars, and then you would have to change it to like maybe a row of clouds. And then even with the clouds, it's kind of like a loop of three, kind of. But then I would look at other artists that do Japanese art, and they don't follow that rule. So I realized that must have just been mentor's own like subjective rule of his own. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I honestly don't really think there's rules per se. I think it's really all just stylistic preferences.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's
Yeah,
always good to.
there's there's some people that it's just wind bars, like no clouds, like at
Yeah.
all. It's just
Or
like,
just cloud around the subject matter to
Mm.
pop it
yeah,
off the
that too.
background. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. It's fascinating stuff.
cool. When was your first convention?
Oh, I did it like way too early in my opinion, but I was just like pushed into the water. It was Philadelphia, and
Whoa.
I was only probably like 5 or 6 months into tattooing.
Damn.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Welcome to Philly.
Yeah. Totally.
And I was sent there with my coworker who was an apprentice under the same mentor. He was 2 years my senior, and we were just both sent there like, oh, we're here now. Let's try and do some.
So your mentor wasn't there.
No.
It was just the two of you. Oh my God. Why Philly?
So I think was a bit old school. Like he thinks that conventions are the best form of like getting yourself out there and advertising.
Hmm.
Because I guess back in his day there was no Instagram, there was no internet, so that was really the best way to get yourself out there. And Philly, I think, is one of the biggest tattoo conventions in North
Okay.
America, from what I knew back then. And it was like it was a good experience though, just to get pushed out there and kind of do these things. And then during my I think I was just like sent to do so many conventions in so many random places that like as much as I hated it at the time, like it was really good experience to like be able to do so many tattoos. Cause I think a lot of people are like when they go to conventions, especially in the States, they're super spontaneous and then they just get a tattoo. So me as an apprentice was like, oh perfect. I get to practice so much.
Somewhere far away from home. Oh, that's awesome.
So, how many conventions do you think you've done now then? Because you've been tattooing just over 5 years?
Yeah, I started in October of 2017. So, yeah, about 5.5 years. I think I've probably done like, I don't know, 20 or so,
Fuck.
something like,
That's impressive.
I think that's more than I've done in my whole career.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that is a lot. Yeah. What was your favorite?
Favorite. Hmm.
Or did you have a memorable experience at one that stands out?
I would say one of the most memorable was when I went to Vietnam and I went to the Ho Chi Minh convention.
Oh, cool.
Very
Um,
cool.
it was very different from any North American convention I've ever been to. So normally, like in a North American convention, you go there with the intention of either taking walk-ups or maybe you try to get some clients ahead of time and you're tattooing. And then that's pretty much it. And then you maybe make some friends, hang out, have an after party. But in Asia and Ho Chi Minh, from my experience, what I saw was that people that attend the convention were not really there to get a tattoo. They were there to just look. So you had, if you wanted to have a successful convention experience, you would have to invite basically your bodysuits and bring them, pay for your client's ticket and hotel to bring them and
Oh, wow.
contests. So a lot of these artists would bring a huge lineup of bodysuits and just have them sit there the entire day and then enter the contest and bring home a trophy. And that was their goal. It was not really to tattoo or make money, or it was like a different, really different mentality. And
Wow.
yeah,
That'd be strictly promotional at that point. It's just like how many consultations can you book that week, right?
yeah. I don't know if they were I just feel like people maybe in Asia are not as like spontaneous about getting a tattoo because it is still a bit more taboo. So they have to really think carefully, like, I'm going to commit to this one person, so I'm going to scope it out and maybe just pick up their business card and do my research. So literally the entire convention, the only tattoo I did was a small peach tattoo like this. And I didn't even charge very much because the rates there are very low. So I think I made like $80 off that. But I so much because I was like, wow, this is a whole different world out there.
Yeah. Did you at
Yeah.
least turn it into a nice vacation?
No.
What?
The me being there was not really like when I was still part of my apprenticeship at that time. So me being
Okay.
so on like apprentice duties at 24/7, like just in case my mentor needs me for something. And yeah, so I was,
Oh, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Boo.
it was really like opened my up to a whole different world of tattoos.
Yeah. No, I
Cool.
bet that seems completely different. Was it a quiet environment? I mean, no one's tattooing.
Uh,
Or did they have show on or
there were definitely people tattooing, but a lot of those were like pre-booked, and or the artist would fly out their client so that they would have something
gotcha.
working on something. And I learned that in Asia, in some places where tattoo culture is still really like new, they do a lot of free tattoos. They'll do a bodysuit for free just to be able to bring to these conventions. So, or like pay for these people just so that they can like really advertise. Yeah. So
Wow.
Damn.
doing one, there were people tattooing, but it was to put on a show. So they would be like those tag teaming ones where there would be like two artists working on one back piece, or like
Yeah.
a scalp tattoo. Just stuff that is very has a lot of shock value on purpose.
Yeah.
And some of the health part of it aspect was maybe people their lung like just put down onto the side and they used it as a tray table almost.
Oh my god.
Working off the floor because there was no like tables, or like some people didn't have a massage bed. So it was very like you do whatever you can do.
Yeah, no doubt.
Make it happen.
That's crazy. So who are some of your biggest influences in tattooing?
Ooh. Obviously, my mentor was one, uh, and Jeff as well. He was like my gateway into the Asian style tattoos. And then after that, it was just like once I followed some of those local tattoo artists, it kind of Instagram, you know how it's always suggesting new stuff. And then I started following all these other um, Japanese artists, and then it opened my mind up to all these other forms of tattooing, like West Coast style and like traditional, like not Japanese traditional, but like American traditional, I guess.
Hmm.
And I'm still learning. There's like always new styles and always new things that I'm discovering. It's hard to pinpoint specific influences, but mostly my influences are like more so the Japanese traditional.
Yeah. When I look at your work, it has a real, has a lot of intent, I think, in the layout. Like it's almost like a drafts person has put it together. Like there's nothing that's just haphazard and just kind of figured out, last minute. It seems like you've thought about every section.
I try my
Um, what's that?
I try my best to.
It, kind of the opposite of what Shawn and I do. Much more chaos in the way we work, but it's impressive to see because it's so well thought out and so it's plotted and everything is where it's supposed to be. Is that something you learned in your apprenticeship, or is that something that you're constantly striving to?
I think I think partial, yeah, for sure. Like it was emphasized that you kind of have certain parts of your body where the main subjects go. Like typically, like the big bicep here for a sleeve is like kind of the main canvas, and then the forearm, this little chunk of meat right here, and not putting like faces and stuff on areas that bend too much and warp too much. So I tried to think about that, I guess, with the movement of the body and whatnot.
Hmm.
Then I kind of once that idea was ingrained in me, then I started noticing how other people work with the composition of how the body moves and contours and stuff like that. Then I guess just trying it out for myself and seeing what works and what doesn't, and what I personally like and how I've seen my tattoos be. Um, yeah, I guess that's kind of how it is. And I still think there's so much more that I could try, and I'm still like I have all these ideas, and I'm just waiting for clients that will bite.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aren't we all?
Totally. I got a long list of projects I'd love to start.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. But so you said you're done with conventions, so we're not going to see you at Kelowna in a few weeks then?
Well, when I say I'm done, I say that for you, and then I'll be like, oh, but this sounds so cool. And then, like, I get so tired from it, and then
Yeah.
rest, I'm like back at it. And then I look back at my photos and my memories. Oh, that was such a good time. But yeah, no, I did really want to go to Kelowna. And I asked my coworkers, I was like, hey, anyone want to go to Kelowna? And then nobody gave me a solid response. So I was like, oh, I guess maybe not this year. I did it last year though. It was a great time. I liked how like they organized like an after party event for each day. And then you knew where to go after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kelowna's
Is this your first time in Toronto?
No, I was at Nick's last year as well. And then the
Okay.
before that, I just did a guest spot. So it's my third time in Toronto. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
oh
Excellent.
cool.
Well, that was my next question. Guest spots. Have you done many of those over the years?
No, actually, that Toronto guest spot was my first one. And
Oh
I when I was in my apprenticeship, I wasn't really allowed to like do a guest spot unless my mentor told me I could or told me to. So
Yeah.
yeah, the Toronto one was my first one after I had left my apprenticeship. I was like, okay, I think it's time that I maybe try this out. And I did it for only one day because I was like kind of nervous about it and then my schedule and stuff. But I had a good time. I was at Toronto Tattoo People and like a Korean owned
oh cool.
one of my colleagues had guest spotted at. So he recommended it to me and then I reached out and yeah, they were super nice.
What's that?
Cool.
It's called Toronto Tattoo Peoples.
I think it's just called Tattoo People. Yeah.
Tattoo People. Okay, I'm
Toronto.
gonna check that out.
Hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. So do you have any
Sean and I.
guest spots coming up this year?
Not that I have planned.
No.
Yeah, no, but I maybe if I go to a city. Oh, actually, I just realized I did another guest spot I forgot about. I went to San Jose in here. Yeah,
Okay.
it was a more recent one.
Nice. Where did you guest
Where'd
spot
you
them?
go?
It was also a studio that another friend of mine kind of like told me to come visit. It's called Parallax. They're in San Jose, Milpitas, and it was great. Very like youthful energy and like kind of like newer tattooers, I guess. A lot of like guest artists were working there too. So like a lot of people kind of around my age, I guess, because most of the time, or I guess most of my experience being in my apprenticeship and being at Monkey King, it's mostly like they're a bit older than me. So it was kind of a nice change. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it sucks being around old guys all the time. Boring. Telling you how it is.
Set in our ways.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe what it used to be like. It used to be so hard. You got it so easy now.
Oh my gosh.
Back in my day.
Is Jeff like that? I can imagine. Oh, that'd be awesome. I gotta come visit Jeff again. I can't imagine him being like that at all. Though.
Not at all. Like I think the guys at my shop are like super chill. So, but yeah, no, both has its pros and cons. I'm, I don't know how to explain it, but like they say like, oh, it'd be nice to have like another female tattoo artist at the shop, and then I showed up, and then I think they got kind of worried, like, oh no, maybe we have to watch what we say now, like I didn't
Yeah.
say anymore, and then they realized after I worked there for a while, they're like, oh yeah, never mind, she's cool with.
Yeah.
Oh,
How's your clothing line doing?
Oh, it's good. I haven't had too much time to work on it because I kind of do it as a side thing. So
Yep.
that Edo project that I started kind of during COVID, because then during COVID, you know how we had a few months where we couldn't work. So I was like, okay, let me channel my energy into something else. And then I kind of I've always liked fashion as well and streetwear, so I kind of wanted to take that approach. And then I made a few pieces that people were quite fond of, and then I just whenever I had time, I would work on it. But I literally dropped it for like probably a year and a half when I was
Oh,
just
really?
mad going into like tattooing a lot. And then for this convention, or Vancouver convention, I wanted to make something new because it was my first time doing Vancouver show again. since I was an apprentice. So this is my first time doing it as my own. So I dropped a new T-shirt, and then it was really popular, and I was really happy about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
you had a great T-shirt. I was saddened it wasn't black. It was white.
I thought out because a lot of the T-shirts there were black.
Well, I can't keep, like a lot of people, I can't keep a white T-shirt white
I have a
enough.
closet full of white tattoo shirts. I just don't wear them.
Yeah.
But I
Oh,
did. I came across your clothing line actually a couple years ago. I was living in Port Coquitlam again,
oh, awesome.
and your stuff came up, and I actually DM'd you, and I was like, "Can you please make your hoodie in a zipper?" And you
Oh,
were like, "Oh, probably not." And I'm like, "I'm too old to wrestle in and out of a fucking pullover."
I'm hot. I'm hot. Get it off. Get it off. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, everybody always wants pullovers. I had to do pullovers for my own shop. I was like, I'm gonna do zippers. Then I did a poll on Instagram, and like, I think two people were like, "Yeah, zipper," and everybody else was pullover. I'm like, well, I got to do what'll sell. So,
Oh,
god
fuck.
damn it.
yeah.
What's the name of the clothing line so people can find it if they're looking for it?
It's called Edo Project. ED
Okay.
Project.
And there's a website for that. It's easy to find.
Yeah, it should be linked in the bio, and Edo Project is linked in my Instagram as well.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Are you going to release more clothes?
Everything's sold out, and I
Go to the website, check it out. It's all gone.
yes, I tried.
Go see what you could have bought.
Yeah.
I guess like with like me being into streetwear, if you know like about like the Kanye Yeezys and like Supreme, how hard it is to get your hands on those, I kind of
Yeah,
like follow suit and make it like very like limited and like collectible so people like, rush to get it and then like
cool.
never release it again. So
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
you gotta
No,
have.
that's good. But you got to keep releasing new
I was
stuff.
gonna say, if you want to be successful, you have to have product to sell. Yeah.
You got to have like a little intern or something just do all that for you.
I'm trying to I got my partner to help me last convention, and he actually has zero tattoos, and it was his first time going to a tattoo convention, and he helped me sell so many t-shirts. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're the best like booth ever."
Was he
Yeah.
the tall, handsome guy in the booth in Vancouver?
Must have been.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's super nice. Everybody is so fucking nice at Monkey King. It's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Oh,
So we asked who your influences are, but now we got to ask top 5 tattooers.
Oh,
your favorite top five?
that is so hard.
Yeah, I
Um,
know everyone hates it, but
okay. Okay. I think a huge influence was Horitomo.
oh yeah,
Um, I didn't realize that back when like new to the tattoo scene before I was an artist, I was just following people on Instagram that he started like Mon cats.
Mm.
Yeah, and that was like I was like looking at that art and I was like, this is incredible, this is genius. And so he was a huge influence, and now I love his work, and I went to visit State of Grace. He wasn't there, unfortunately, but I put my name down on the wait list, and I never heard back. Cool, and I was just like, wow, awesome. And then I also am getting my back piece done in October. Started by another artist that I really like. His Instagram is Gassen Tattoo.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Where is he at now?
he's in a place in Japan called Shimane, which is like kind of countryside. It's like apparently one of the least populous places in Japan. So
Yeah, yeah.
I have to take a flight there from Tokyo. So I'm gonna do that in October. I'm super stoked. I haven't met him before, but we've been like talking about my tattoo idea on online. So yeah.
Cool.
nice.
He was at Three Tides, right? Is that where he was originally at Three Tides?
Not
No.
I'm not sure where his yeah, how he started and everything,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
get tattooed at Three Tides though recently actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went in
Sweet.
April. I went to Three Tides Tokyo and I got tattooed by Ichibei.
Oh, rad.
Yeah, and so he's also a huge one for me. I love his work. So it was really cool to meet him. I think I was really shy. I wanted to ask him more, but I was really shy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Well,
I think
you
he's
got the foot in
inspired.
the door though, so the next time you go back, right? Bit of familiarity, you can talk more.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I asked
Yeah.
him like, oh, like my friend so and so got tattooed by you too, and he was like, sorry, I don't really remember anybody. I just recall. I was like, okay, I guess you probably won't remember me, but
Yeah. At least he's honest.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so that's 3.
oh yeah, that's 3. I guess another one, Stace, Water Street Phantom is a huge one as well.
I think he gets mentioned by more people than anybody.
Vancouver, right, too, right? So, or
Yeah,
Yeah.
or something, but
he's
he,
from
Yeah, he's from
Alberta
Calgary.
originally.
Yeah.
uh, and then he was in Vancouver for a while, and he's another artist that I followed before I started my tattoo journey, and I really liked his work. So, yeah, it's kind of more like new school and like sci-fi, and I like that about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. His stuff just keeps mentally expanding. It's just like, well, I don't, yeah. Yeah. His stuff's
It's
great.
awesome he's been able to find clients that indulge him too. You could take the risk of drawing some pretty wild stuff and people would be like, no, I'm not going to do it. But he's got a following. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. So
One
that's
more.
4. One
That's
more.
4. Yeah.
Hmm. There's so many, but I guess I'm just thinking about the people I've been tattooed by so far, and I guess uh, the other one would be Matthew Houston, who's also in Vancouver.
Okay. Yeah.
He does traditional, kind of like European American style tattoos, and I just got like a rose and dagger and butterfly from him, and
Oh, cool.
solid guy. Like he was, just had a really good conversation with him, and then we were just talking about tattoos, and he was telling me about the scene in Europe because I think he's from UK, which I've
Yeah.
never been to Europe, and I started following like Claudia Desai
So good.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Prism, those guys, and I was just like, wow, this is so cool. And he had some trinkets, like art book and prints, and he showed me, and I was like, yeah, this is so sick. So Matthew is awesome. Yeah.
Very
Rad.
cool. I have lots of his flash in my shop, actually. Yeah.
What tattoo is your favorite on yourself?
Oh my god, that's so hard.
I know. It's clients ask that question all the time, and you just usually throw out a bullshit answer, but that's it's good to know, right? Like, I'd love to hear.
I mean, like, I guess the most like distinguishable tattoos on me are like probably my sleeves because you see them all the time.
Yeah.
These were like done by my mentor, which unfortunately, because I don't have ties with him, it's kind of like an awkward situation when people always ask me, like, "Oh, I love your tattoos. Where'd you get them done?" And then I constantly kind of have to like mention him and talk about him. But they are, solid tattoos, and I do love the art. I
Yeah.
didn't get the color done on this side before I had left. So I was about to live the rest of my life with no color on this side, but my coworker graciously helped me finish it, and he does Japanese tabori.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he did all the color on this side by tabori.
Yeah.
Wow.
What's his name again?
Go.
Gogo. Yes. He tattooed my apprentice at the Deadly show last year.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, he was
Yeah.
there. Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Super cool.
What's the you were talking earlier about wanting to do tattoos. This might be a good question. What tattoo idea do you want to tattoo more than anything else?
Ooh. There's a few, and I was almost gonna like I needed to like write these down, but like I think one that I've been really wanting to do is like a tenyo. Basically, it's kind of like a Japanese angel. It looks like a maiden playing sometimes like a guitar or a flute that has wings and feathers like a phoenix.
Hmm.
I would love to do something like that, but nobody has confirmed yet. But I will.
Okay, somebody out there, book something right away.
Yeah.
Get to the top
Tenyo
of the
back
line.
piece. Tenio back piece with like light background. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, it's been awesome
Well,
getting to know you. This has been
yes,
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm like stoked that I
of course.
heard this.
and just
Yeah.
to recap, where can people find you on Instagram and on the internet? Where?
Yeah, I'm mostly active on Instagram, so it's at Shiyu_tattoo. And then I'm on TikTok as well, I guess. I'm not super there because my focus recently has been working on the Spitting Ink project for TikTok and Instagram. So I've been kind of fully more engaged in that aspect there. But yeah, mostly Instagram as well.
Cool. Right
Cool.
on.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us because we know it's late because you're in Toronto.
Oh shit, yeah. Yeah, it is late.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you staying for a couple more days and doing some sightseeing?
No, I'm leaving tomorrow night. My mind is still in Vancouver time, so it doesn't actually feel that late to me. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm head back and then get back to working. Yeah.
Awesome. Great.
Awesome. Well, have a great
Fantastic
trip
to
home, and
Thank you
we'll
guys
we'll see you soon, maybe in Kelowna.
for sure. Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye.